Okay, so everyone's seeing my screen. Um, so um excuse me. Um the trip is from January 13th to the 19th of next year, and it covers two main cities in Colombia. So you're going to start in Medellin here on the map, which is kind of central Colombia. And then you will head out to Cartagena, which is out on the Caribbean coast. We really like this tour because it gives you the chance to see Medellin is a big modern city, but it also has the jungle and the mountains and really a biodiverse rainforest all around it. And then we go out to the beautiful Caribbean coast and we do a day trip on a boat. So you get that Caribbean experience as well. Um, so the itinerary overview is 7 days. You'll arrive to Medellin. We always have guests. Some folks will choose to arrive a day early, which is totally fine. You'll get an airport transfer. We'll take you to the hotel that first day. You'll meet up with the group for a welcome drink and dinner. And then the following day, we will do a hike up to this really incredible rock formation that has a view out over the landscape and out to the city. We'll also go visit a coffee plantation where you can learn all about the process of coffee farming. That's super interesting. Oftentimes, I think Colombia is maybe the second largest exporter of coffee in the world. So you'll have the chance to also buy really, really, really fresh, locally sourced beans. And you'll have a free day in Medellin to explore on your own pace. This will give you lots of time. There's museums in Medellin, there's shopping. You'll sort of be oriented at this point in the city and have the chance to have some free time. We'll gather back that evening for dinner. Then on January 16th, we will fly to Cartagena and we will do a street food tour for dinner. So you'll have the chance to taste lots of delicious foods with a guide. Um, from there, we will take a day trip on a boat, a private boat that we charter out to the Isla de Rosario, which is off the coast here in the Caribbean Ocean. They are really beautiful islands that have palm trees, white sand beaches, sort of everything you imagine a Caribbean island to have. So we'll spend a day at the beach. And then we will have a Afro-Colombian culture tour in Cartagena. Those really colorful colonial houses, women wearing the colorful skirts, all of that. We'll learn about the history and culture, and also the African influences in throughout Colombia, but especially in the city of Cartagena. Followed by some free time. Again, it's a great place to shop, to explore on your own, dig deeper. We like to give lots of free time on trips since we know ladies have different interests. And then finally, you would depart from Cartagena to wherever you are coming from in the US or elsewhere in the world. So it's a week-long trip, short and sweet, but you get to see a lot and experience a lot throughout it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the highlights in each city. So in Medellin, like I said, there's a guided walking tour. There's all these really beautifully painted, colorful homes. It's a very hilly city, so we get to lots of places where there's panoramic views out over the valleys. Then we're going to do the hike. You can see it's all of these stairs. Yolima can explain more about that experience, but you get this look out at all of the mountains, the estuaries, the rivers, everything that makes up the Colombian sort of center of the country, really special and very tropical. And it is a very manageable hike. It looks really steep and it is a lot of stairs, but it's well worth it for the views, and we take it very slow. You can go at your own pace. And we also tour the coffee farm. This is the group that we had go to Colombia a few years ago, learning about drying the coffee beans, and all of the different varieties. So you get involved. It's a very hands-on tour. And then obviously free time. Again, there's these really beautiful architecture and old parts of the city that are colonial, where you'll have the chance to meet local vendors, shop from artisans, and just really enjoy being in Colombia. So that's Medellin. Again, that's 3 nights in Medellin. And then that is followed by another 3 nights in Cartagena. there's this really famous street that they've decorated with all of these umbrellas. So we always go to stop there on our tour of the city. Again, there's lots of artisans and different crafts, lots of textiles in Colombia that you can shop for. We also have our Afro-Colombian culture tour where we dig a little bit deeper into the history of Colombia, the slave trade that went on there, and then the continuing influences of different African cultures in the country. This is a woman, one of our group members, on one of the islands on the boat trip. It's really fun. We take the boats, we see all of the beautiful islands, and then we stop for a few hours on a beach. You have the chance, you can get a drink, lay by the ocean, swim. This time of year, it's in like the 80s, so it's really, really comfortable time to have a beach day, and it's a great relaxing day. And then obviously there's the street food tour as well in Cartagena. So there's sort of an activity every single day to keep it busy, but also plenty of free time where if you want to rest, relax after the walking tour or go out and keep exploring on your own, there's plenty of time to do that as well. Um, that's really everything I wanted to share up front. Um, I will go over sort of next steps if you wanted to book the trip here at the end of the call, but I wanted to move into a question portion of the night. So feel free if you have questions about the trip, you can just hop off mute and ask or put them in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so that everybody can see each other. Um, Awesome. So, Karen, I
sorry.
know you said safety concerns. Yolima, maybe if you want to address that, I know you still have family there. I know you've gone back regularly. So, sort of safety as a woman traveling in Colombia.
Very safe. People are very friendly. We actually had done two trips when women travel abroad to Colombia in different times of the year. And we stay in a great hotels, and especially in Cartagena, we stay in Gethsemane, which is a very authentic location and is safe. Trust me. More
Um,
safe than some bigger cities here in America.
we say obviously, all of the same recommendations, whether you're going to Europe, whether you're going to New York City, like make sure you have your bags in front of you, something that's crossbody, your valuables, not somewhere that someone can come and pickpocket easily. But the women who've gone on the trips to Colombia with us have all felt really safe. I think there are obviously a lot of things in the news, especially maybe not as recently, but 5, 10, 15 years ago, where there was political instability in Colombia, but it has really, really, really changed for the good. And I think that's part of what we want to show off in going there is the chance to highlight a country where there might be some um, stereotypes or misgivings that, Americans have had about the country from its historical times, but today it's
Mhm.
been really safe. We've had no
Yeah.
no worries about traveling there. And again, we stay in the tourist centers, right? So it's infrastructure that's made for tourists. There's a lot of security and police because they want to keep tourists safe. Colombia relies heavily on tourism as one of its major parts of its economy. And so it really prioritizes keeping the historical and tourist centers of each of these cities really safe and secure. And you have a host from Women Travel Abroad, so someone like Yolima who's with you to make sure that you also, right, have an extra comfort level when you're
Mhm.
walking around. You also have guided tours. So that's part of why we
Yeah.
always, when we plan an itinerary, we always front load the guided tours before we give a free day. That way you've had the chance to familiarize yourself, see where the shops are, see the things that you might want to go back and visit. That way, when you go out on your own, you feel comfortable. You're like, okay, I know how to get to this place. It's not like we just drop you in without,
Yeah.
any map or any guidance. You have a lot of support on the ground from both guides and our trip hosts. So, hopefully that answers your question. Feel free. I know you said you're coughing, so feel free to put more in the chat if there's other specific questions. Carla.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, Marion.
Yeah, you know how to raise my hand or
No,
whatever.
you're good. Go ahead.
It is on the State Department list, so that's why I had concerns about safety too. And and how US citizens were not very well liked in lots of places these days because of what's going on here. So I had a question about that too.
Uh,
So the parts of the country where they have the reconsider travel warning are not parts of the country we're going to.
Mhm.
That's the Colombian Venezuelan border, and then the Panamanian Colombian border. So we will be nowhere near either of those parts of the country. Um, Yolima can talk more about like I think the
yeah,
local sentiment, but my experience with Colombia is that it's highly tourist dependent. And so the people who are in Colombia really, really want and rely on tourists coming and bringing US dollars and spending their US dollars in the local economy to support people's jobs. And so they are incredibly excited to welcome Americans and incredibly excited to welcome really tourists from all over the world. But whenever Americans shy away from going to Colombia or any of the other Latin American countries, those economies really suffer. And so again, we're very careful in picking where we're staying, what we're doing, what we're going to make sure that we're going to places that we feel confident in bringing ourselves, our family, etc. But again, the parts of the country that are on the travel advisory warnings are not areas of the country that we're going to.
correct. And actually, 2 years ago, Colombia was number two of to travel from around the world because that people is very happy. The music, it was very safe. So, like she says, and like any city, you use common sense, right? You don't want to be at midnight, but it is safe. And of course, also is what you how you look on your Google, on your website about the country. You know how you ask the question is the moment you ask is safe anywhere in the world, they're gonna tell you be careful. But if you say what are the fun things to see in the country, it tell you all the cool stuff.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
you'll be in good hands.
I had another couple of questions too. One was you mentioned the hike, and I'm not crazy about hikes. I'm a long distance walker, but how steep is it? And are there railings and that type of thing?
Of course, the railings, but the beautiful thing on this hike, you had a choice. So there is like, for example, you go 50 steps and you just really want to turn around and we take pictures for you. The whole landscape from where you are is beautiful. So if
Uh-huh.
you don't want to do the whole hike, it's fine. We all had the choice
Is
to
it
go
very
to the top.
steep?
It depends because well, I had done it like 3 times. Last time out of the 6 ladies, 4 did it the whole thing, and 2 did half of the way, and they turned around and they were fine.
Okay.
It's
So yeah,
it is
yeah,
steep in the sense that it's stairs, right? So they've built stairs into the rock to make it, so you're not scrambling up a rocky mountain. You're
no,
walking upstairs. So it's a lot of stairs. Um, and in that sense, you have to be prepared to go up and down stairs. But it has hand railings. You can go at your own pace. And there are lots of places that if you wanted to, take a break and not go all the way to the top. That's why we have a guide and a host for that reason, so that we
mhm,
can sort of divide and conquer, right? If there's some folks who want to move faster, they can go with one group, and there's some folks who want to move slower, they can stay behind with another person.
correct.
I'm not so much concerned about the stamina because, like I said, I'm a long distance walker, but I have this height issue. If I look down and it's really
Mm.
Yeah,
steep and there's nothing to hold on to, I get a little woozy. So,
yeah,
Um, you
yeah.
definitely you'll have things to hold on to. There's railings on both sides.
okay. And are there any particular vaccines that we have to get for this trip?
No, Colombia, that we're not going all the way to the Amazon rainforest, so there's no malaria in the parts of Colombia that we're in. We just recommend obviously the typical vaccines that you got as a kid in the US. But there's nothing special that you need to get in addition.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Carlo.
This is just really specific to me. I am going there and then immediately going on a cruise.
Mhm.
So I know that we usually try to pack carry-on, and because we are flying from Medina,
Medellin.
thank you, to Cartagena.
Yeah,
And I just remember the little tiny plane we were on when we were in Belize.
it's
Is
bigger than
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It's a commercial.
Oh, okay.
It's a commercial plane.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And
You can check a bag. That's not a problem.
okay. And the other thing is, Yulima, do you recommend a particular airline? Since I'm coming from the West Coast, so it's usually I'm going to have a layover. Is it better to lay over in Texas or Miami or
Oh,
um,
well, what you fly usually, American or what is in your area?
I'm a Delta girl,
Okay, me too, me too.
but oh, okay, okay.
Yes, yes.
So basically, if I
It's,
were, I like to try to do as close to nonstop as possible. So
mm,
I was just saying, I was thinking, is it better to go fly from California to Miami and then
yeah,
catch a nonstop or
yeah, that will be the best.
okay,
The
okay.
Yeah,
other,
and when you get to Miami, if you don't have Delta, there is also Avianca,
Mhm.
which is
Okay.
the Colombian airline.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it do you, okay, now I'm really getting into the weeds. Do you know if it partners with like a
I
US
Delta?
airline, maybe?
think, yes, Avianca is a partner to someone. Hold on, Avianca
Okay.
partners. It's part of Star Alliance, so it's part of Delta.
Well, look at there. Okay.
Um, I think there's also a lot of flights from Atlanta because Delta is a big hub in Atlanta, so you should
Right.
be able to find a direct flight out of Atlanta to Colombia.
Yeah, because I usually will set up alerts for the trips and I was just trying to save some nickels.
Yeah.
For the cruise or for Cartagena? No.
Well, it's for all of 2026 and Catherine can attest to
Yeah,
that.
you got a lot of trips to take with us, Carla.
That's
And the
good.
other
That's good.
thing, do you recommend us getting some local currency? Does that because I know that some countries they prefer the dollar versus their
No,
currency or recommendations
and
around that.
um, once we get to Medellin, we go to the ATM and you guys get some little cash on hands for the little, so many street vendors for
Okay.
few earrings or stuff like that. And it's better to pay in cash. But everything else, you can use your card and you hardly had to, you traveled with us before, you hardly had to spend any money.
Right, right, right. But I
But
was
we
just
go to
wondering
the
if the
ATM there and then you get your pesos. Yeah.
okay, right.
Um, yeah, I think the feedback we've had when even 2 years ago when we've done this trip is that card is, unless when you're shopping for souvenirs, cash is good, but like drinks, something you want at the hotel, anything like that, that's going to be, you can take your card.
Mhm.
But
Um,
about do the citizens prefer us to use their currency or
yeah, having the local pesos will be better. You'll get a you'll get better deals basically.
okay, thanks.
Yeah. Questions from other folks?
Is it okay to drink the water and ice cubes and that type of thing?
Um, uh, yes, but most of the hotels they tell you, no, we take care of the water. They provide always water in the rooms, and again, the places we stay is fine. And whatever we do tours, because we always get a private van, they always provide water for us.
But what if you go to a restaurant and you ice cubes and
Ice cubes are okay. Most of the places we eat use filtered water for that anyways, because
Exactly.
they're tourist establishments.
Mhm.
In the cities, the water is drinkable. Like you can brush your teeth with it, shower with it. It's not a problem. We'll give you lots of bottled water to drink just to be extra cautious. But it is safe to drink the tap water there. Like the locals drink the tap water.
Yeah.
Um,
What was her question?
Um, so if folks don't have other questions they want to ask here, I will just talk a little bit about next steps for the trip and booking process for how we work. The trip right now, it's early bird pricing. We do have two ladies signed up for the trip already who are both longtime return women travel abroad travelers. We are capping this trip at 8 guests. We have 6 spots left, and we are offering it right now at $5,645, which is the early bird pricing. We will have that run through the end of May. A little bit more about our trips is that everything is in single occupancy. So you get your own private room, you don't have to share. We'll be staying at really 5-star hotels in these cities. They're beautiful, very boutique, right in the city centers. It includes also your internal airfare. It includes all of your breakfasts and all of your dinners, and it includes all of the lunches besides one on the free day in Medellin. But there's lots of really good, delicious food for very cheap in Colombia. And so 7 breakfasts, 6 dinners, and 5 lunches are included in that price, as well as a trip host from Women Travel Abroad who will be with you for the whole time, and then local guides for each activity and city. We'll meet up with different local guides along with private transportation whenever we have a guided activity that requires a car. So we like to do walking tours as much as possible, but for instance, to get to the hike or to get to the coffee tour, we'll be in a vehicle for that, and it's a private vehicle. And then also all of your tips are included, so you don't have to tip your guides, your hosts, any of that. That's all included in the price that you pay for the trip. The only things that are not included would be travel insurance, which we highly, highly recommend in case you have something come up and you cannot travel as expected. And we also recommend, it's also not included is your international airfare. This trip is a little unique in that we fly into and out of different cities. You'd be looking at either booking round trip through Medellin and then having a short one-way flight from Cartagena back to Medellin, or you could book a multi-city ticket is what they're called, where you fly into Medellin and out of Cartagena and book with 2 different departure cities. Again, Avianca is a very reliable airline, and there are a lot of sort of Delta Avianca shared flights. So it should be pretty easy to find a route, especially from the southeast of the US. So Texas, Georgia, Florida all have multiple flights a day to Colombia. For luggage on the internal flight, we cover your carry-on bag. If you want to check a bag, that's not something we include. We encourage folks as much as possible to travel light and just take a carry-on and a backpack with you on these trips. We understand if you're someone who really wants to check a bag, but we provide a packing list for every trip that says, here is what you need to pack if you want to travel just with a carry-on, so that you know exactly what you need, how many shirts, shorts, all of that stuff. Carla.
Sorry, you answered my question about the internal flight because of my situation. I know it's going to be a check bag thing. So thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing that I will mention is, so once you book a trip with us, we have a 90-day pre-trip call where you'll get to know all of the other ladies who are traveling with you. And then we have a packing list that gets sent out in 60 days. And then finally, a 30-day pre-trip call as well, where we go really in depth on the itinerary. But we like for you to be able to show up knowing, at least the names and faces of the ladies that you're going to be traveling with ahead of time. You're not going in totally, cold meeting folks. So we like to get the group together, get people, getting to know each other ahead of the trip. And then when you arrive in country, we have a assigned driver who will have a sign that says Women Travel Abroad. They'll meet you at the airport, pick you up, and take you to the hotel. So really all you're responsible for is getting yourself to the starting city airport, and then we take it from there in terms of arranging the rest of your trip. If you do want to book the trip, the process is to go on our website. I'll send an email to everybody on this call with the recording, as well as a link to the registration form. You'd fill that out. It will generate a quote for you that will come back to you by email. And you will read the quote, accept it, and then pay the $400 trip deposit. That deposit is due, and then we ask folks to make monthly installments of $400 so that you are paying over time. And then 90 days prior to the trip is when the full balance is due. If you need assistance with flights, we can assist. We'll, help you look up what are the best flights, etc. And we can book them for you. Most of the time, folks prefer to book them directly themselves, but we can assist with that in the case that you want additional assistance. So that's really everything I wanted to share tonight. I'm happy to stay on and answer any other questions, but like I said, I'll send everybody an email with a recap of this call, along with a link to the itinerary on our website and the registration form. And then if you think of other things, you're always welcome to email us back, and we're happy to answer them.
I have a couple of questions. What is the refund policy if something happens, and how does the price of the trip go up after May?
So the price of the trip will go up by $300 to $5,995 at the end of May. The policy is our deposits are non-refundable always, so $400 is non-refundable. Other payments that you make towards the trip are refundable until the 6-month mark. And then after that, the amount is non-refundable as well. At that point, we're paying vendors and having to, make sure that all of our airlines are booked, all of those things. So it becomes non-refundable, which is why we highly recommend travel insurance. So we don't force people to buy it, but we highly, highly recommend it. Travel insurance typically is anywhere from 8 to 12%, 8 to 15% of your total trip cost, including your airfare. That gives you the peace of mind that you can either book regular travel insurance, where if you get ill or you have a sickness that comes up or you break your foot right before you have to travel, you can submit a claim to your travel insurance provider and they'll reimburse you the funds that you've paid out to us. We, regularly work with those companies to assist you in making sure that your claims get approved and refunded. There's also cancel for any reason travel insurance, which allows you a little bit more flexibility. So if you decide you just don't want to travel, or there's something that's not one of the covered health and family reasons in a normal policy, you can still cancel and get a refund for the trip through your travel insurance. So once you book the trip with us, we send out a detailed email with information on how to book travel insurance, and the providers that we are most familiar with and recommend. So, perfect. Well, I really appreciate the time from everybody tonight. Like I said, if you have more questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And I look forward to hopefully meeting all of you at some point on a future trip. And have a great rest of your evening.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
See you soon, Yolima.
Bye.
Ciao,
Thank you.
ciao.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.